Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard. I'm Lauren Feldman. I'm here with Gene Marks to talk about the stories and issues we think business owners should be following this week. Welcome, Gene.
Hello, Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to have you here, as always. This week, Gene, as usual, this past week, you wrote about all kinds of issues that matter to business owners, including how to save on health insurance, whether businesses should offer discounts to clients that are nonprofits, and what last week's midterms mean for business owners. Let's start with the piece you wrote about health insurance, which I found really fascinating. Let me quote you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
As a business owner, I must negotiate health insurance with big insurance companies every year for my employees with little control over the inevitable annual cost increases. I'm often forced to analyze the demographics and health histories of my workforce, which is knowledge I don't want, nor should I know. I have to pay someone to administer their claims, answer questions about coverages, and go through a regular review of benefits. I'm just a humble CPA. I'm not a healthcare expert. Why am I involved in all of this? I think that's a great question, Gene.
I mean, I'm the one asking the question. I'm waiting for an answer, Lauren. Why am I involved?
I don't have it. It's insane. There is no reason that health insurance should be set up this way, that employers are forced to make these decisions and offer options to employees. It's just crazy.
It's crazy. And then, a lot of it comes from my wife. I remember, when my wife is from England, and when we got married, it's like 30 or 32 years ago, and she moved over here, she started working at Ernst & Young, and she had to go through and meet with HR and talk about, get the health insurance options. And she's like, why is my employer even involved in this? I don't understand what's going on. Like, this is nobody's business,
Absolutely.
You see, they have national health, in the UK, which has, obviously its pros and its cons too, but it's just such a burden for employers to have to go and do all of this.
Yeah, and it's one thing if it's a big corporation. For small business owners, it's just insane. It's so much time and effort.
And you're just and you got a gun to your head, like like what you're going to go to, like Blue Cross and their competitors. These people, like, you're not getting any deals. You're not, I mean, it's like you're handcuffed as to what you're going to do. It's like I have so many clients right now. They're hearing from their benefits administrators, expect a 60% a 10% increase, and then you're like, oh geez, what can I do? Not much. I mean, we can, I don't know, you increase your deductibles to your employee, it's like, Jesus.
Or go to a different provider, which is an incredible hassle. And you may have employees who have to switch doctors. And
then you're like changing people's health. But that's why I've been writing about the individual healthcare plans, the health reimbursement arrangements, which I think are like the best choice. I mean, they, I was talking, and actually I wrote a piece on behalf of a company that I really like called they're called Total Command. And what they did is, like, they're like an HRA consultant. And what these people do is, like, they advise their clients. A lot of benefit consultants are getting into this now. They're telling their clients, listen, get an HRA, because if you get an HRA, a health reimbursement, arrangement, you get out of the healthcare business. You put the money away. It's pre-tax.
Explain how it works.
Yeah, you put the money you put the money away pre-tax for your employees, so they don't pay any taxes. You get a deduction for it, so it's all the same. And hopefully, even you're putting the same amount of money away that you were paying for your health insurance. So hopefully, you're not, it's not like that's saving you any money, because you want to provide the same benefit to your employees. But the thing is, with an HRA, you then say to your employees, essentially, you go and get your own health insurance. I'm going to give you the money. Right? So you get all the tax benefits. You get your own health insurance. Go on the health exchanges, because for all I know, you might have credits available to you on the health exchanges. Or here's a list of brokers that we recommend. Go and talk to your broker. Or if you belong to some association, Rotary Club or whatever, maybe you can get your health insurance through there. I don't want to know about your health thing. I don't want to negotiate with health insurance companies. It's none of my business what your situation is. So it saves employers a lot of time. It saves, fiduciary responsibilities, HIPAA responsibilities. You're just basically writing a check and telling your employees go and do it on your own. The Take Command, place
Total Command.
Total Command. I'm so sorry, Total Command. What they do is they contract, I think, with the employers, and then they provide help to the employees. Because that's a whole other thing. You realize that, if you're being told by your employer to go and get your own health insurance. I don't know if you've ever been on, and by the way, it's called Take Command. I'm so sorry. It's called Take Command. Okay.
I thought it sounded like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
I know. I'm like going back and forth, but it is Take Command. But what they'll do is like, I don't know if you've ever been to the health exchanges, but it's like you need like a PhD in biology to like figure out the right health insurance for yourself. It's not easy. So, what these guys do is that they consult with the employees and they help them find the best, employee, healthcare arrangement for them.
So you're not just leaving the employees dangling out there to figure it out.
Yeah, out in the lurch. And then, a lot of employees are just like, thank you. I don't really want you knowing about my healthcare. And also,
well, how did your you implemented this a year ago, if I recall correctly?
Yeah, and it's been great because then everybody just goes out and just gets their own stuff.
And your employees were happy with it?
Yeah. They were fine. They were like on their own. It was a little bit of a surprise to them at first, but now they've got the options. I gave them names of brokers to begin with. I'm probably going to be using Take Command in the future since I've become aware of them. But it just gives them the employees the ability to go out and get their own stuff. It's taken me completely out of the whole health insurance conversation because I got other things to waste my time on.
One of the things you emphasize in the column is that it gives you a certain amount of cost certainty. You know how much you're paying. Can that be a problem for the employees?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I can say to my employees, "Hey, listen, I'm going to contribute X dollars, and that's it." I'm not, I have the ability to do that, but I don't. I mean, I do increase it if I see that overall health, costs are going up. So I am aware of that, or I can adjust it with inflation. And I have an administrator that helps me, and they advise me on you should be contributing a little bit more to stay competitive because you want to stay competitive. But you do have the option, though. I mean, if you just have like a Blue Cross plan and their premiums go up 10%, you're just paying 10% more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Here, you can say like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to still contribute the same this year that I contributed last year. Again, there's risk to doing that because your employees might upset them or that kind of thing. But at least you have an option. You can decide what you want to do with an HRA, and I think that's really helpful.
And no big bad surprises. Nothing went wrong when you implemented it.
No, I mean it was just now again I have a very small company, so it depends on how many employees you have, and it might not be something that you do right away. You take a year to educate your people and make sure that they're that they understand what their options are. But no, I mean, I think it's a really good,
cool.
It's a really good thing. What's interesting about the whole HRAs is that they really weren't, that kosher under the Affordable Care Act. And then when Trump became president, he issued an executive order that expanded their use and, made them more available. And then when Biden became president, as you know, he overturned like every one of Trump's executive orders, except for that one, because it's been pretty popular, So I think that's indicative of the number of businesses that are using this and taking advantage of this. So it's definitely something you should consider if you're a business owner.
Interesting. All right. Next topic. You also wrote recently that you don't feel compelled to give special pricing to nonprofit organizations that use your services.
Yeah.
I love to disagree with you, Gene, but I'm not sure I do disagree with you on this one. You can understand you might feel a little bit of guilt doing this. Explain your thinking.
Yeah, it's true about the guilt. I didn't really think about that because, I wrote this. I was on a rant, and the reason is because I get that. Yeah, I get that pretty regularly. I sell CRM systems to small and mid-sized companies, and sometimes they're nonprofits. And then I get this thing saying, "Oh, we're a nonprofit. Do you have like a nonprofit rate? And can we?" I just went through that with somebody who was like insisting on a discount to my hourly fee. And so first of all, I give, okay, all right, maybe I'm not Mother Teresa, but like I do give to charities, nonprofits. My wife runs a nonprofit, to help children learn how to read, and we give a substantial amount of money to that. My business does to her nonprofit to help these kids get funded so they can get tutoring to learn how to read. So, okay, so I make my choices. If I have some client and they're a nonprofit, I don't know anything about their nonprofit. I don't know what cause they support. I don't know if I even agree with it. For all I know, it's something that I'm opposed to. Just because you're a nonprofit, that doesn't mean that I'm going to give you a discount, because basically it means I'm contributing to your nonprofit. And I got a business to run. I can't do that for everybody. And, so I'm not trying to be like a bad guy here, but it's just like, here's what I'll do for your nonprofit. You pay me and we'll do a great job. So your nonprofit can use your CRM system to raise more money and hopefully benefit you. Okay. That's what I'm going to do for your nonprofit, but I'm not going to give you a discount on my fees for doing it, because I'm a small business too, just like they are. There are plenty of nonprofits out there that are, that I know they're a nonprofit, but their CEOs making $300,000 a year, and they're, they got big administrative costs and all that. And I'm like, I don't really want to fund that by giving you a discount. So, yeah, when I get that pitch from nonprofits or people asking for the nonprofit rate, it makes me bristle a little bit. But I'm always like, no, I'm sorry. We don't offer nonprofit rates. Sorry.
Have you lost potential clients because of that?
Yeah, I think I have. I mean, and I have, in the past, I've had people, because some people are dopey enough to offer nonprofit rates, and yeah, they might get the client, but I don't know if they're making much money on that client. You know what I mean? So that's another thing to consider. Some big companies offer nonprofit rates, Salesforce and, Microsoft, if you're a qualified, 501c3 or whatever, you get.
I'm guessing it's not for just any nonprofit. They probably look at who they're giving a good rate to, don't you think?
I don't know, Lauren. I think it's like you just have to show you're a qualified nonprofit. Yeah, because then you get into a sticky situation. You're Microsoft saying like, well, we're going to give you the discount, but we don't like what you guys do, so we're not going to give you the discount. Right. You know what I mean? So I think it's across the board. If you can show proof that you're a qualified 501c3 or a nonprofit organization.
Interesting. And then, of course, that's why the nonprofits think they should get a special deal from you, too.
Yes, because they get it from other big companies. And It's not fair for a small business to then say, well, we're not a big company and, we're just a small business trying to, do our thing. So it's a little, I know you're a nonprofit, maybe you're a small nonprofit, but so are we, So, it's not fair to like ask me.
You make too many of those deals, you'll be a nonprofit, too.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't want to be a nonprofit like you. So...
All right, last topic. You also wrote last week that there's one clear takeaway for business owners from the midterm elections, and that's that the economy is stronger than most of us thought.
Yeah.
Why do you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking, I've kind of been writing so much about this and talking about the economy, and like there's so conflicting information, Lauren, going on. You got, manufacturing is down and real estate's having troubles and the tech industry laying off all these people and inflation and interest rates, they're high and going up. And then meanwhile, there's all this good news about the economy as well. Household wealth and credit card spending and retail spending still pretty strong. And, there's the banks say they're doing good. It's just tough to tell. People are asking me all the time, like, are we in a recession? Are we not? And then, so we just have the midterms this week. And, the Republicans ran on the economy. They ran on, we are, high inflation and Biden's screwing up the economy. And, you want to vote for us because we'll rein in spending and get things back on track. And then, the Democrats are running on more social issues. I mean, abortion was a big thing, voters' rights, preserving our democracy. And,
some people consider abortion an economic issue as well.
Yeah, true. It's true. But, I'll tell you what was like surprising. It was like the day after the election, and I was at a client for the morning, and I was talking to like different people. I was talking to somebody in their warehouse. I talked to a few people in their customer service. Everybody's talking about the election, and people were pretty open about who they voted for. And a lot of them voted for like Democratic candidates. I'm in Pennsylvania, so they voted for like John Fetterman, for example. That was the big race. And and these are people that they're not like the 1%ers. I mean, these are people that are like, making 50, 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year. I know that because, I have access to those records. And And like, so those, you would think those would be the people who are like most impacted by inflation and, the high price of gas and, the grocery store bills or whatever. And, a lot of them voted for Fetterman. And a few of them said, listen, I'm nervous about abortion rights in this state. And I want to, I voted for Fetterman because of his stance on abortion. Now, if they were really suffering economically, I believe, as much as you say that abortion is an economic issue, I believe that people will vote with their pocketbooks and be like, it's more important that we get our grocery bill down, you know what I mean? Or my gasoline price down, and might want to change.
Well, that was the whole narrative going into the election. That's what everybody thought was going to produce a red wave.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. And I thought, and everybody's talking about, well, it's, Trump and it's these awful candidates. And there's definitely some truth to that because they're
and fear of losing democracy.
Yeah, there's, obviously all of that. But I do believe what James Carville said 30 years ago when he was running the Clinton campaign about it is the economy, stupid. I do believe that that's the core issue for everybody, is just, taking care of their families.
Sure.
And, after seeing the results of this election, I'm like, I don't know if the economy is as bad as the Republicans are making it out to be right now. Now, that doesn't mean 2023 isn't going to be a challenge. It could be. But I don't know. I walked away saying I thought maybe, and it isn't. It's just, I think that's proof of the pudding. And by the way, the client that I was at, which is like a small manufacturer, they had a great year this year. You know what I mean? Like,
I've talked to, it's such a complex thing because you can find so many business owners who've had a great year and don't see any problems on the horizon either.
Yeah. Yeah. Now these guys, and then of course, it's a big country because these guys are concerned because their backlog is starting to dry up a little bit and they're concerned about that and buying stuff from China. They're concerned about oil or Ukraine and affecting their energy costs and their business because the products they sell are, have petroleum based products as their core material. Everybody's different. You know what I mean? But I don't know if you feel the same way. Like I walk around Philly, all the, retail stores are pretty much, we had riots here 2 years ago. Walnut Street in Philly is like pretty much occupied. The restaurants seem to be doing great. I travel. Jesus, I'm sitting, the planes are packed. The hotels, are busy. people are out and about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it just doesn't seem like we're in a recession right now. And the economy doesn't seem as bad as, and even the final thing I could say to you is, I know inflation is around like 7.78%. ADP just reported their numbers from their database just from 2 weeks ago. And they said the average company they did raises to their existing employees was about 7.7%, right? over the past year. So if you're running a business, you should be increasing salaries and compensation to your employees between 7 and 8%, because that's what ADP is showing. That's their actual employment data. This is not a survey. And for people that left jobs and started a new job, the average increase was about 16%, 15 to 16%, if you can imagine.
So no one likes inflation, but if you're getting a wage increase along those lines.
That's my point. Like employers have been stepping up, and they've been raising their prices. They've been passing it down to their employees. So the employees don't seem to be really hurting. And then I was also thinking about gas price. Like you remember, Lauren, when we were younger, like in the late 70s, early 80s, like when there was that, obviously the oil prices and, all that, the problems of the oil crisis. That was back then. I don't know what your dad was driving, but my dad's car got like 27 gallons to the mile, like
that's good. That was good back then. I remember those days.
Yeah. It's like a Buick station wagon, like 8-cylinder, whatever. So when an oil crisis happened then, that was really a crisis. Now it's like everybody's driving, electric vehicles or hybrids or even very fuel efficient cars. So it costs more to fill up our tank than it did. But I feel like our tanks are going a lot longer than my dad's tank went back in the 70s, which means it might not be taking as much of a bite out of people's lifestyles.
Although everybody compares it to what they were paying a year ago, not to what they were paying 3 decades ago. But
it's true.
I take your point. I take your point.
It's true.
Anything you're working on that we should look for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be writing a piece for the Inquirer this week all about, it's more of a Philadelphia piece about like free resources available for employees, and then some technology pieces. I'll update you when I'm there. Again, I'm going to be in North Carolina and this week, as well as New Orleans, speaking to a bunch of CPAs and a bunch of software people from all over the different industries. So I can report back to you next week on what people are saying, what's going on out there.
That sounds great. Gene Marks is a CPA who writes weekly on small business for The Guardian, The Hill, The Philadelphia Inquirer, The Washington Times, Forbes, and Entrepreneur. You can also hear him on ABC Radio's Eye on the World with John Batchelor. Gene hosts 2 small business podcasts with Paychex Corporation and The Hartford. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Lauren. We will see you shortly next week. Take care.
Always a pleasure. Have a great week, everyone.